Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity. Welcome back to another video. Bristol City, the opponents this weekend for Norwich City, full of narrative. Liam Manning's former team, the team that he loves to keep telling us about that he took to the playoffs. They did, of course, get beat in the playoffs last season. Norwich are in a real sticky patch. We've yet to win at home all season. It feels like the season has been going for so long, and yet Norwich are still without a win at Carrow Road, and hopefully it comes this weekend. Is there anything to cling on to? I will try and find something for you, but it's looking like an uphill battle. Bristol City currently 10th in the league with 13 points. That's 5 more than us. Their last few games, actually without a win since the middle of September. 2-1 defeat to QPR last time out, a 1-1 draw with Ipswich before that, 0-0 with Preston, and then a 3-1 defeat to Oxford. So far from in great form, and also without the vast majority of their midfield as well. So a chance here, a chance for Norwich to try and control a game, to try and retain possession, to try and orchestrate tempo in the middle of the park. I released a video the other day off the back of a brilliant article from Ben Lee in the Pink 'Un, analysing the underlying numbers so far this season, comparing it to last. And it is glaringly obvious that Norwich are in a really poor position in terms of the underlying numbers, both in terms of chances created, both in terms of giving chances up, both in terms of retaining the ball. That needs to improve. We've had an international break. There are a couple of players close to returning. Ben Crescene and Matthias Quist-Gordon will be back soon, potentially next week, potentially for, is it the Derby game that's coming up after? Derby on Tuesday, isn't it? Potentially back for that, we shall see. Probably won't rush them back. So a couple of those guys coming back. You'll see on the screen here with the potential starting 11, no Jose Cordoba. And that's because, you guessed it, he's injured. Another player to add to the list for Norwich City's injury woes. He got injured on international duty and is set to be out until at least December. Probably going to be out for a couple of months. Now, that is problematic because he's the left-sided centre-back. And I think the reason why Liam Manning likes Jose Cordoba is he allows the team to play slightly higher. He allows the team to kind of keep the ball on the deck and try and squeeze the gaps between the defence and the midfield. Now, if he likes Jose Cordoba so much, I'm somewhat confused as to why we sign Jakov Medic if he feels that mobility is a slight problem with him. But it will have to be Jakov Medic that plays this weekend. Re-enter the equation, Mr. Shane Duffy, who was free to go in the summer. No one wanted him, and I'm not surprised on the wages that he's on. Shane Duffy is an interesting character. I think actually for large parts of last season, he was one of our better defenders. There was obviously a pretty public falling out between him and Johannes, and we never really saw him again. And when we did, it was clear that he wasn't really in it for the right reasons. Now, Liam Manning apparently likes Shane Duffy, although he was free to leave in the summer, so clearly doesn't rate him too highly. But he is another option. Now, he's not going to be ready for this weekend, but if you see Shane Duffy in and around the starting 11 sometime soon, don't be too alarmed. This feels really big, and I've been saying that for weeks now, haven't I? The next game's critical, and we've kind of, particularly with the away matches, I look back to like Portsmouth and Blackburn, we almost rode it out a little bit. We found the win when we really needed to. And since that point, Blackburn was our last win, and that was in August. Since then, draw to Coventry, gave up 30-odd shots. The horrific defeat to Wrexham at home. A draw to Stoke, gave up 30-odd shots. And then defeats just before the international break to West Brom, and of course, you know who, in the East Anglian derby. So a really, really poor run over the last month or so. But this section here presents a real opportunity for Liam Manning. And I think that's probably why, within other reasons as well, as to why they've not opted to sack Liam Manning. Bristol City on Saturday, Derby on the Tuesday, who are in and around the bottom three with us. Swansea away on the Saturday, Hull at home, Sheffield Wednesday away, and then Leicester at home before the next international break in the middle of November. So you've got some teams there. I keep saying in and around us, but it's true. In and around us near the bottom of the table. Derby, Hull, Sheffield Wednesday, teams that you should be expecting to beat. And you know what? Even Bristol City. We should be expecting to beat Bristol City at Carrow Road. If you look at their recent form, if you look at the players they're without, I don't want anyone using the injury card for Norwich this weekend because Bristol City are in the exact same position. This is the time. If I was Liam Manning, I'd be screaming at his players going, do you like me? Do you like me as a human being? Do you value me as your head coach? If so, go out there and put in a performance. Because if you keep performing like this, I won't be here for much longer. I will get the sack. And then let's see what the response is, right? Because I'm sure that will get some of these players going. I mean, I'm looking on that starting 11. I'm looking at the likes of Mirko Topic, Pel Matson, Jakov Menic, players that were brought in under the Liam Manning regime. I've stuck that starting 11 up. I suspect the defence is going to line up very similar to that. The midfield, whether Matson kind of drops into a more defensive role and Topic moves forward or vice versa, I expect that will be the midfield. Again, it's the wide options that leave me wanting a little bit more. Mate Jurisic out on the right. It may well be Ante Ciernats, but he's been really disappointing this season. Oscar Schwartau out on the left, a great Derby Day goal. And actually, I think in terms of the young talent that we've signed, he's the one that I'm excited about the most. And Josh Sargent up front, who's been... well, he's not even been feeding off scraps. He's been left to starve, hasn't he, up top? Which will definitely be a concern for Liam Manning, because if you get that man the ball, he will score you goals. It feels big based on the context of the season so far and the performances. It also feels big based on, I'm sure you've all been following the recent developments around the Carrow Road redevelopment and the moving of fans from certain sections of the ground based on no consultation at all. There was a evening at Norwich City last night in the Lion and Castle where Zoe Webber and Anthony Richards spoke to the fans that were affected and some that probably weren't affected as well. And it's fair to say the reaction was poor. It's fair to say that there was anger in that room, and there is a feeling of disconnect between the club and the fans at the moment. When you are building something, when you are changing something, it's so vital, it's so important to take the fans on that journey with you rather than sidelining them and doing it at your own will. And that is what it feels like Norwich are doing at the moment. Yes, on-pitch performances haven't been great, and that certainly doesn't help with the mood. Everything when you're winning seems easier and lighter, and people are more receptive to it. I don't disagree with that. But Norwich have to be really careful. They have taken attendances, they have taken fan turnout for granted for decades. Norwich fans turn up in numbers. We are the only professional football club in Norfolk. The catchment area is huge, but I can promise you, if season ticket prices keep going up, if fan experience gets worse, Norwich fans will find something else to do with their hard-earned time on a Saturday afternoon. There are far cheaper footballing alternatives at non-league level. Now, look, I certainly won't be giving my season ticket up, but if I was one of the 3,000 kicked out of my seat in the River End to be put in the South Stand and I was being served up this football every single week, I think I'd be thinking twice before renewing my season ticket next season. So please, I beg the committee, the directors at Norwich City to really take this seriously, to take fans on a journey. I'm not saying that we're against change. I think actually some of the developments at Carrow Road are vital, are important. The River End lacks services, it lacks any kind of hospitable feeling. But don't just boot them out with no consultation. Make them feel a part of it. Make us feel a part of it. I think that's so critical. It will be a really difficult atmosphere, I think, on Saturday. And I know that Bristol City will be bang up for this. If I was their head coach, the script kind of writes itself. They are in poor form. They are without some good players. This is an opportunity for Norwich City. But my goodness, if Norwich go 1-0 down early on, it is going to be a miserable afternoon at Carrow Road. This is a big one. It feels like the potential of a new chapter in terms of this season and an opportunity for Liam Manning. It also feels like it could be the end if this doesn't go well. This is big. The starting 11 there, it may well change. At this point, I actually don't think personnel is too important. I think it's the system that needs to really work. I think it'll be very similar to that. Probably that right wing's position is the one that may well change. We need to see a reaction. We need to see a response. We need to see that these players, that this head coach cares as much as the fans do. Let's hope that this is the start of a positive run for Norwich. Because if you get 3-4 wins in the next 6 games, things start to look much brighter. If you lose this and then you're away on a Tuesday night against Derby who are scrapping for their lives, then, wow, it gets really tough. A big thanks to BetMate. As always, we are partnering up with them. There is a guaranteed £100 giveaway pot on their app this weekend. The link is in the description as well as the code. It's fantasy football. You pick a 7-a-side team. It is completely free and there is a guaranteed £100 to be given away to you guys. It will be split amongst the top few in that league. Loads of you have won this season. It's free to enter. You have to be 18 plus. You have to gamble aware. Give it a go. Download the app, sign up, join my pot. The link's in the description, the code's in the description. Make your team for the Norwich versus Bristol City game. You'll probably love it. And if you don't, well, you've not got to play again. It's BetMate, and I'm really appreciative of their support this season. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.